There we are. Hello, everyone, and here we are live. And of course, the title of this is the bifurcation event update. The bifurcation occurred very quickly between September 20th to the 25th, taking in the 26th and part of that. And the reason it took it in was because of the opening of the final scroll. Nevertheless, what is occurring right now is that we have two prominent, distinct timelines. And when I speak about timelines, it's the experience, but it's also the connection with the consciousness. And I will go in later in this live with some of the details, some of the information on how to navigate through this very important time of choosing what timeline you wish to reside on, experience, and be more a part of. And of course, it's the highest timeline, so tips with this and a little bit more understanding and explanation as well involved with this. Before I continue, Femke and I greatly wish to express our thanks for all our gratitude for all of your support, so we're able to do what we do each day, our divine devotion, if you will, to assisting humanity, assisting the world, and making the great changes in it. And so, what we wish to say, without your continued support, as always, and we're fine now. I'm not doing this to ask for more funding. We are fine. Thank you. But what I am saying is that we all contribute to this new reality, and most definitely the highest timeline. And without all of us working together and without your support for us, we could not put our time and our focus directly into the entire ascension and everything that we do. Uh, so, having said this, I see, in posts that I put out, when I do look at the comments, I see, much gratitude expressed from all of you. And so, with that, here's our gratitude right back to you, because it's all of us together that is definitely doing this, and we all contribute in our own ways that we are divinely guided to. But again, we would not be able to do, and we would not be doing what we're doing if it was not for all of your support. So for that, we are absolutely grateful. Um, I I have been just totally inundated in the past up until this time, and I don't want to create anything going forward. However, we are in the most exciting, glorious times with this higher timeline. So, having said that, it also entails quite a bit of divine work for I as well. And so I've been totally busy on, let's say, all fronts, if you will, all divine fronts lately in what I do. And having said this, I had anticipated to have begun before now to put out the teachings, as I said on this timeline. I put out a post that very shortly will begin to reiterate the teachings, reiterate at the basics, but as we step through over the next 3 months, we keep increasing it. And it needs to be done this way, because a big part of this overall ascension, individually and as a whole, it's so important, the embodiment part. And what I mean by the embodiment part is that all of your actions in your entire character has to change to format for the new reality. And what this involves is everyone dealing with your emotions, exchanging the negative ones, your negative acts and reactions that you used to have, your instinctive and prompt acts. It needs to be exchanged for the higher actions. And this is the embodiment. And when you do that, you're walking and talking and creating the good reality where the dense emotion sphere spectrum is not being generated from you out there in reality. And this is so important because it begins within what each one contributes to the whole soup of reality. And if you have ones that are constantly regurgitating blame, vile, anger, animosity, anything from the fear spectrum, well, that keeps going into the soup, which acts like a weight for overall reality, and you do not experience all of the bliss and the joy. So we're upon the planet. Yes, you can do it individually. You come to your place of equilibrium and balance and harmony with your love and with your inner peace. But ones will find out that although you were successful in establishing your inner love and your inner peace and all of the virtuous higher density or the higher acts and actions, that your outside world doesn't reflect what you are. And and this is perfectly fine, because this is to show you that you have prepared yourself first, and now what you are doing, where you are purified, where you are purified, then you are impacting and affecting the outside reality and the timelines from what you are within you. So when you have purified everything within you, then your intent and your energy that you are speaking and writing and also acting out is purified. It's not contaminated with density and fear. And by doing this, we purify and create this new reality where there is none of the fear spectrum and the negativity, the stress, the suffering, and all of that. This place is void of all of that, and this is what we are creating. So it's important, again, the old basics. It begins within each one, within you. That's where it begins. And then we come to find out, once you have prepared yourself within, then there is more of the divine purpose and task at creating the community with the like others worldwide, so that then it is a huge energetic network that is out there that changes reality. So no longer do you have one just changing their present reality. Once they are in balance, then they connect with all of the other like-minded, and as a huge divine delegation and group, we change the entire planet. We change the entire reality. So in your reality, the main contributions to that is your conscious thought and what is in your consciousness. And this is so important with this bifurcation event, if you will. We are looking at a higher timeline, where this higher timeline will give you a reflection of what you have energetically in your consciousness, what you're feeling, and what you have accomplished with your inner work. And this lower timeline, if you're observing this and have this in your consciousness, well, all of the fear spectrum and the negative anchors from that will constantly be in your consciousness, and what it does, it keeps you in the lower timeline. For the simple reason is your focus is on what's occurring on the lower timeline, and it's keeping you distracted from what's occurring on the higher timeline in respect with your empowerment and to see the new world that is being created. And also, when you're looking at the new world that's being created, you are in higher vibration and you are creating the future that's in alignment not only with your own ascension, but the planetary ascension to take us to the heaven on earth scenario. But if you're still involved in the lower timeline that's dealing with military, fighting and politics and all of this, then you have anchored yourself into that lower timeline where you keep creating your reality with artifacts and things that are in alignment with the fear spectrum in the lower density. So it's so important what you have in your consciousness. And again, one of the simple things that we have shared constantly is where your focus goes, your energy goes. So if you're looking at the lower timeline constantly, you are energizing that from your consciousness, but also from your energetics. And there's a two-way energetic stream what's occurring. So you're watching, you're amplifying the lower timeline, but the feedback of the energetic exchange is bringing back into you the negativity as well. And with negativity and the lower fear density, what that does, it lowers the consciousness. And once the consciousness is lowered, then the vibration also is lowered and affected. So it's very important where your focus, where your consciousness goes, but also it's so important to know what you're here to create. Are you here to create a constant world of fighting and war, or are you to create the world where it doesn't exist? And that is the simple answer to everyone. So what you do is you keep the focus on the higher timeline, which is so important. So the bifurcation event, here we are a few months or a few weeks, if you will, into it, and it's going very great. But what I am seeing and what I am witnessing is that this higher timeline is in place, and as the lower timeline goes along, as ones know that it's no reason to fight and get into the lower timeline dynamics, they come to a point of surrender where they finally are able to see that they're tired out enough that it's ridiculous to fight. Then as soon as their mentality shifts to uniting, then they become aligned with the higher timeline, and there is a little bit of purification in between that, so they get stabled up here on it. So the higher timeline will continue to increase in its population, and this is all in line with the divine plan as well. And the lower timeline, all that will be left on that is the soulless minions and the darkness that cannot ascend. It's not in their organic anatomy, and it's definitely, they don't have the spark of God, if you will, within them. They are soulless. They cannot. So what occurs is they vanish from reality in whatever divine ways that it may be. So having said this, everything is well in motion, and we're in very exciting times. And on the higher timeline is gpms.world, which is the divine plan from Creator put upon the planet through I, and then connecting the rest of the guardians like I all together as the huge divine delegation to bring this new world to the planet. What's very exciting is since uh, September 23rd, 25th, the numbers is increasing with GPMS, the number of votes, the number of consents. And what this is doing, this is the higher timeline. This is the new world where everyone is free and in absolute comfort and abundance. This is, you can look at it, it's been written about in prophecy and scripture, wherever, this heaven on earth scenario. And this is what's being created right now. It's happening now. This is the higher timeline. But it's happening in a material, organic way that ones are actually choosing through their consent, through a material vote, so that they choose this new reality to create it. And this vote is the transition from the lower timeline into the higher timeline and the higher reality. So by putting your agreement, your accord, your consent, your vote in alignment with the GPMS world that the population of this is growing, by doing that, you are putting yourself also in alignment with the new world. And in between, what it does, it aligns your reality to the higher timeline as well. Because again, remember, if you're in the lower timeline or in between, where your focus goes is where you stay. So what you need to do is become in alignment with the highest timeline, and that's where you go. And you know, to do that in this higher timeline, this is a place of energetics, again, that's void of fear. So each one is being acclimatized to this higher timeline through your process of getting rid of the old fear-based negative actions and emotions. And it is definitely particular and intricate to the degree that even courtesy is important, to have that hospitality, all of these good virtuous acts that are based on compassion, love, sharing, community. So it's very important, and also to be responsible for yourself, to play the role in the community at making light work by assisting all that are aligned with this new reality and connecting with those like-minded and in unity, so it gets created faster. And the new timeline is for the children and the souls, and with GPMS, every child's vote counts. If they are 1 day old, it becomes a responsibility and obligation, moral obligation of their parents to align this child for the new reality, the higher timeline. And this 1 day old child, their vote, their voice counts the same as an adult, same as yours and mine, because this new world we're creating, it takes this material, lawful consent and agreement from each individual to be a part of the new world, because this is the rapid God transition for all of the souls that are in alignment with it. And you know, when you look worldwide, it's the majority of the souls that just want the loving, stress-free, peaceful, abundant, and free, loving, harmonious world. If you were to go and take a poll, you would see worldwide, yeah, the amazing majority wants that, you know, and this is what we're creating. So the prayers, if you will, of humanity has been answered, and it is GPMS.world. It is the vehicle, it is the rapture, and it is the vehicle, the deliverance to providence, if you will. It's to all the good things, but it's being done in such a way that humanity has the choice to choose it from the old world to the new. So it's not being done in such a way that you can just drop the old world and have the new, because you look out there, even though you've done that in the consciousness, when you look out there, you still see the old world running on its capitalistic system and what have you. And that part external has to change. You cannot sustain an ascending individual environment within the lower timeline environment. So you are also, each one of you are the instruments of the divine change that transitions in to the higher timeline. So the higher timeline, very exciting. Our numbers are rapidly increasing now in GPMS, and it's fanning out to more countries and more people. And when we look at, let's say, the U.S., with the economy, how it's getting more hard and hard for ones, suppressing them more and more by the ridiculous, nefarious use of money in the capitalistic system. What this is also doing, it's causing one to say, this is enough. Being in common sense and being real about it, like it's ridiculous. Where I love using the U.S. because, with their quantitative easing, and they're notorious at showing how money is created instantly, and this is what GPMS is. We are going to create money instantly, but unlimitedly, and shared equally with all individuals, every child, woman, and man, and all of the essential goods and services worldwide are instantly propped up. Rapid mass rollout of beneficial technologies for humanity, because money is no longer a limit. The reclamation of the planet, the restoring the planet to pristine, beyond the pristine measures that were here before, because what we'll be doing is introducing accessibly, and money is no longer a factor, all of the technology that does this quickly. And this is the new timeline, and your deserts will become oasis, and so much more. So GPMS is the full divine plan. It's all inclusive, and it's all, let's say, it's heaven on earth is what it's creating. But also the evil that are on the fourth dimensional. We're on a fourth dimensional plane right now, and the evil that's here, there's evil, and there is the human soul. So as the human souls make their choice, they go up to the fifth dimension, and the evil stay behind on the fourth dimensional space is what occurs. And so having said this, these are the very exciting times, but there's also ones need to be responsible for their individual energy, their purification, and also exchanging the old ways for the new ways that are the virtuous and full of trust, with the absence of fear. Now, what I just said was said, in a moment, whereas in the past it has taken ones, let's say, 20 years to do this. But time is speeding up, meaning that ones are doing it very quickly now. There's more information available, but there's also the supporting energetics that does it. And I need to say that there is a divine forcing element that assures it as well. And we'll use the example of this lower timeline, where ones are being pressured and finding it hard and harder. So this also is a divine mechanism to ensure that they choose the higher, that they come in alignment with the higher timeline. And what occurs in their reality is they begin to see all of the things that are in alignment with the higher timeline. They'll see the path to get there, and then very quickly, individually, it sets off an inner work process with them at refining the old negative and dense anchors, because that's what they are. Anything non-virtuous and fear-based is an anchor. It keeps you down in the lower density. That's why you wish to shed all of that, go into complete trust and virtue and purity, and that lightens you up, so you raise, and you're um, are part of the new reality and play a very important role with this. So yeah, the new reality, that higher timeline is going great. When we look at the lower timeline for a minute, I want to point out on the lower timeline you have like military aggression, and for what the military stands for. They stand for also like war, but also protecting. And both of these things are fear-based. You may have what is called peacekeeping military, but what they are is they're still protecting from a state of fear. And when you look at most of the military, um, they are programmed, if you will, programmed out of their unconditional love, but very importantly, they're programmed out of one of the most important virtues: thou shalt not kill in no circumstance. And this is not in alignment. None of the military that are still serving and are not in alignment with the do no harm, what is the universal divine law of GPMS, they are not in alignment with this. They are in conflict. They are in contrast. So they cannot be part of this new reality. Any military that are aggressive and anyone fighting cannot be a part of this new reality, and it's common sense. This new reality has no fighting. It's all about worldwide community and sharing, and everyone in abundance. There's nothing to fight for. So even having said this, with the police force, same thing, with artificial laws on that lower timeline, and what it does, where it defies and denies the intrinsic rights of the individual, and where these police are following artificial man-made laws which are suppressing humanity and is not in alignment with God. These police, if they have the soul, their consciousness will not let them be any part of it. And what you are seeing with police and military worldwide, the souls for a long time have been divinely leaving those jobs in whatever way they could. You have, for example, I'll use the military, you have the PTSD. Many are taking absences, taking leave of absence, saying because of psychological problems. And if we look at about 10% perhaps in the U.S. military, could be more than that, these are the actual souls that could no longer be a part of the old, because if they're a part of the old, they cannot ascend into the reality that is not fear-based. So it was divinely ascertained that they still need an income, because the old system is still intact here, and there's that dependency and reliance on money, so they need to survive. However, they are ready. Once we have the majority voice in GPMS, it's a new world, and everyone's future is fully secured forever and ever. But also with the fight with politics, and this is very important on the lower timeline, any politics, it's all part of the enslavement paradigm. You have governments that actually, you have parties, and what I wish to say, all the different parties, they actually all go to lunch together, and they're just playing a game. And I loved in Canada when years ago you would watch a Parliament House where you're supposed to have people, representatives in there, making serious decisions for people they were supposed to be, and all they're doing in there is making fun of each other and making jokes, because in reality there is nothing to do. And that's what they were doing, and getting these luxurious lifestyles, huge pensions, and really insulting the people. And but it was laughable and jokeable. But anything with politics, and it is the capitalistic, and it's the artificial system. It's artificial because it's nefariously man-made to suppress and control humanity again. And the new higher timeline, higher reality, there is none of this, no suppression. It's all uplifting and everyone together. So the choices are need to be made. They are being made, and of course, in this time of the great awakening, it is happening to facilitate this new timeline. But what we have is many in between that they are oblivious. They think that they are fully awake, but they're oblivious to the degree that they're uh, constantly fighting and into the politics, if you will. So that is because their consciousness, what they focus on, they are unable to see GPMS, the new world, the higher timeline, and the simplicity of it. Because where their focus goes, it drops their consciousness, and they're unable to see even the most simplest solution. And even with, let's say, the lower timeline economists and scholars, and let's say even say financial advisors, because of what their consciousness is attuned to, and the complexity of the capitalistic system, because their focus is on there, they're unable also to see the simple solution unless they are awakening, and unless they are distancing their self from the lower timeline, the matrix, and the capitalistic structure. And with this, with the higher timeline, with GPMS, I have given it to a, let's say, a scholar, economist, and saying, here's the solution that eradicates poverty. And his reply, with poverty can never be eradicated. I just said, like, come on, But this is how programmed and conditioned they are into the complexity of that lower timeline. And these are the tricks of the darkness. And also you have, what we had is, when you look at brainwashing, what actually brainwashing and conditioning is the negative energy that comes with that, the fear-based energy, because that actually drops the consciousness into a state where it's more readily, easily influenced and programmed from the lower density. So it sets up the energetic area for that, and ones need to be you need to be, what's the word? You need to be conscientious. Thank you, Father. You need to be very conscientious of the content that you're watching, that you're reading, that's in your consciousness, because you may not even know it, but you may be observing, let's say, the lower timeline. You may be in good vibration, part of the high, but even if you're observing that lower timeline, everything is an energy, and there's subliminal negativity that's coming, and it's unbeknownst to you, but where your focus is in that field, as I said, you're taking remnants of this back inside of you. And if you're not aware of what's going on, and do not consciously clear yourself, you can be inundated, and it can drop your consciousness to whatever degrees of the content you were looking at, and it could take you into the unreasonable states also of consciousness. But the great news is we got the higher timeline, which is the superior timeline, which has the priority, and it is setting the precedent for the energetic world. So again, everything is divinely insured, it's ascertained, and it's guaranteed. However, each has to also see, what's occurring to some degree on the lower timeline, so they're able to choose the new as well. So I want to look at what I had written in here. I put in the description, if I can find it, because I wanted to comment on the description a bit. Nevertheless, just don't see it there. Facebook has to, let's say, fix up their way of doing lives, and we need to have it with audios and what have you as well, where more can directly participate in it. And it's coming, in the very near future. All the social media sites are open for all of the people with complete ease of access and doing things at connecting. So all the security protocols of this ridiculous lower timeline is all gone. They are not needed, and so it makes things simpler. So all right, Terry, thank you. Right at this point, I see Terry said, I keep freezing up. Terry, can someone just put, how has been the content so far? Is it legible? Has it been not broken so much that it interfered with what I was saying? Were you able to see and hear almost everything I said? Thank you. All right, thank you, Vi. Yes, yeah. So again, for everyone, this would go against the old human rationale and way of thinking. And what I'm about to say, don't fight, don't engage in it. You do the opposite. Because again, it's fear-based. When you fight or get aggressive, it lowers your consciousness, then it lowers your energy and your vibration. And when your energy and your vibration is negated, you become like a magnet. The stronger you are, and you'll attract more negative experiences and events for you. Every experience that you have has a polarity of negative or positive or neutral, and it depends upon your vibration. So if you are negated, if you will attract like negative things in your experience. And this is why it's so important to focus always on the positive, on the virtuous, on the righteous, on the moral things. And this keeps your vibration the purest, and it also avoids many unnecessary negative things. And yes, it's yeah, thank you, Terry. Yeah. So it is okay, thank you. So this bifurcation event, October 14th, this eclipse is substantial, and it's a very important date. It's a very important time stamp also for the higher timeline, and it's going to affect both timelines, but in very good ways, of course. So October 14th, and it does have more pertinence that will be seen as we go forward. So as I had mentioned previously, I'll be putting out teachings and guidance and over the next 3 months. I also am on Telegram because there is also another uh, group of divine ones that are no longer on Facebook. So I need to have a presence in both places, and that is also stretching I out at times. And on Telegram, what we have is audio, open discussion chats, if you will, and everyone can join in. And I unmute everyone, and it's a audio place, and we have good discussions there when I have them. But what I usually do is, if I have a discussion on Telegram, I will have a live on Facebook usually, so that I'm doing everything as equal as I can. Yeah. And I believe if I keep still and don't move around as much, then it may not glitch as much either. um, so so again, I'm just contemplating here. I didn't write anything down for this because it was, let's say, an introduction to what's coming, and an update on the bifurcation. Uh, Individually, again, many ascension symptoms, and this will continue to marginal degrees with the individuals until we have the 5D timeline populated enough and secured that it is the dominant energetic timeline. So everyone is being, your vessels are being organically changed more into the crystalline, to be able to sustain the frequency of a reality where there is no fear in it. So you're going from carbon based to crystalline based, and it begins with the plasma of your blood when it becomes activated to do that, to begin to change everything in your physical vessel, every cell. So it is a process, but it also it has been expedited over the last few years, and it's been expedited to the degree that um, prior it would take your organic vessel 7 years to replace all of the cells, carbon-based cells in it, to a more enhanced crystalline. But that process had sped up, that for some a year and a half ago it only took 3 years, and now it's a year and a half or less. So because as we go into the higher energetics, the more that joins this higher vibration, what it does, it allows for all that's in here uh, to uh, to advance with the organic vessels much more quicker. So it speeds up time, but it also then allows for more on the lower timeline to expedite the process, because everything is energy. Creation is energy. So again, the higher timeline reality, the clearer and the cleaner you keep that by what you're contributing energetically into it, then the more enhanced and supporting it is for all the good things. So each one needs to be conscientious and meticulous of what you speak, because you are co-creating into reality more than ever before. You need to be conscientious of what you write, and I mean this, that you need to be conscientious in such a way that you're meticulous, that you're not energizing in your written words or in your speech anything of a negative uh, lower timeline, if you will. You need to keep everything positive, and what you'll find is that that also gets reflected into your reality, because your voice is vibration, it's an energy, and it does affect what's coming from inside, is added in your outside reality when you speak. So if you've got fear within you, part of this energy that's coming out, it is contaminated with the degree of fear that you have in you. And for example, if you have fear in you that you're able to get, let's say, pissed off, then what you're going to find, it's going to exponentially fan out in your reality to attract the negative of it. And very quickly ones will become inundated and will say, whoa, I've never seen that before. And it's because you got to go inside, and you cannot be contributing to the superior, higher reality that's coming. You'll be repelled and ejected from it into the lower reality, because it's the simple physics. It dictates that you cannot, if you're negative, you cannot be part of the positive reality, to keep it simple. And again, anything fear-based, which is anger, aggression, it is not part of that new reality, and you'll constantly get ejected and rejected from it, until you learn that the virtues and the purity is so important. The impurity of all of the fear-based emotions, actions, and that your inner work, so that you're generating outward, into your reality, all of the good things. So I think I pretty much did this for now, and thank you all for joining. I see comments, but I was focused on getting the message out, that if there's questions, I didn't look there, because again, what I've said, without creating anything in the recent past, I've just been inundated, and don't wish to create that sort of a scenario going forward, so I can focus and concentrate on giving the good material out, to enhance the self-empowerment for all, to quickly advance forward in your process. And it's all free, of course. And also, I don't and it's also great, for any teachers out there that's watching this, that's assisting others. Anything I say and write, it's all free. Please use it to benefit others. We purvey and we share the information out to everyone. And what I don't wish is any restrictions on it. Just go and get it out there. It's so important to do so. And so I believe that's great for now. So this is a good short one, 48 minutes, and I believe I covered everything. So the update, everything is going well. The higher timeline is producing more and more magic, more profound confirmations by others. As Femke said earlier, keep your eyes on the skies. This is where you're seeing, let's say, some astronomical things occur, which let you know, and confirms that everything truly is divine, what's happening, and that everything is occurring for a reason, and that there are no coincidences. Nothing happens by chance, meaning that we're truly in the divine rapture. We're right in the midst of it. And when I say rapture, yes, I have to bring God and Christ into all of this, because it is a part of it as well. And when I speak about rapture, it is the upliftment, what is occurring. And this is what's occurring with this higher timeline. This is the upliftment. We're in, if you will, the rapture. And worldwide, there's at least 1.4 billion Christians, but when you look worldwide, the majority of the people believe in God, and that's what's important, because that one connection is what keeps raising you up. It's a lifeline, and keep on to that. And of course, be godlike. And having said this, one of the important messages I will be constructing is for all of the churches of God. They need to carry the GPMS .world referendum to all of their people. It is the divine plan, and it becomes the obligation, divine obligation, divine moral and responsible, and being divinely accountable to give this message to all of their parishioners as purveyors of the Word of God, if you will, to all of their followers, their followings, their parishioners. This is the God's plan on the planet, and the evil is done. It's being eradicated, obliterated, as we keep going forward with the more that choose the new reality. So there is a huge divine obligation on all, let's say, pastors and heads of churches that are genuine, for the people, to give this to their people. Now there is both out there. There are genuine heads of churches, and as we all know, there were corrupted ones and evil ones as well. And this was prevalent over time, where all of the good things would be infiltrated by the darkness in attempts to control it. But what I need to say, all of their dark attempts were in vain, and divinity always perseveres, and in this great time divinity has persevered, and there's been direct divine intervention upon the planet to assure and ensure this. And so there is nothing that any of the remnants of evil or darkness can do. We've just come through actually 9 or 10 years of the judgment days, where each one judged themselves, upon their actions, to what reality really that they would be in. But it was not about the judgment for themselves. It was, let's say, with the negative judgment, it was the judgment of the evil for others to see, to know what they had done. And in this great time, what I wish to say, what was said 2,000 years ago, what we say now, there is no forgiveness for the darkness, for they very well knew what they did. And if we're to forgive them, that is a condonance of acceptance that would keep them in the new world. And no, that's not happening. We are delivering humanity out of hell. The evil stays behind in hell, and all the ascending souls are in the heaven on earth scenario, where the dark does not exist. They made their choice. They had 2,000 years to, let's say, do the right things, but with every turn up until 2012, they did not. And it was 2012, if you will, with this pun, Father put his foot down upon the planet. The Great Awakening went into full tilt, the revelations, which meant the exposing of what was actually occurring upon the planet, and being all revealed. And because of this revealing, this revelation over the last, let's say, 10 or 11 years, because of that, it shows you the actual darkness has no power whatsoever. They will feign, try to trick They will try to intimidate. They'll try in the past to put in false beliefs and all of this, but to no avail. And, the simple thing is, if the darkness really had any power, and if the darkness really ruled this world, then no one would have awakened and no one would have been alive. They would have had you all in jail or killed or suppressed. So for this very thing, it tells you that the light has already won and that we persevered, and what we're doing now is just transitioning the planet to the heaven on earth scenario. And the GPMS is the all-inclusive divine plan that does that. So the war is all over. You unite now. You don't fight. There is nothing to fight. And if you're to fight, it would keep you in the lower timelines. And just focus on uniting the human souls and all of your comrades in compassion, love, peace, and harmony. The quicker we get this done, the quicker we get it materially documented on the website, because that is the lawful vote. The quicker it's done, the quicker it's all over. For ones to individually look for justice, to have blame, to have guilt, and to project that is animosity. And if you're to have vengeance, that disempowers you and lowers your vibration, and that is the trickery of the darkness. So don't get involved in any of those games of fighting and looking for justice, because justice is truly dealt with on the creational level through energetics and through the wrath of God, that God doesn't actually perpetrate the wrath upon the individual. The individual attracts the wrath theirself through their actions and what occurs, and it dictates where they stay or where they go to, is actually how it works. So, meaning that it happens organically. So don't look for justice, don't look for accountability, because that infringes you into the lower paradigm, into the dense energy, into the fear-based energy. And this is what the darkness wants. That's why they create the fear narratives of fight in politics and in the financial markets, keep you investing in all these. These are just all schemes and tactics of the darkness to maintain a control and to distract ones from the virtue and from God with us. Going back one moment to any genuine church worldwide, if they are not backing GPMS, if you will, which they will, what they would be doing would be supporting a capitalistic system that has caused great harm upon the planet. So having said this, there is also a no-brainer choice for any church, any religion, any genuine belief in the planet to not support GPMS and to support the divine plan. Because again, that's what it is. It's the divine plan, and it's in alignment with God. And to be in alignment to support a capitalistic system, if you will, that's not in alignment with God, because it's creating harm, disparity, separation. These are all things that are in conflict with God and the godly world. So it becomes again the moral divine obligation of all genuine church leaders to be part of the divine plan and taking humanity forward. So it is occurring. So with this, what I say is, one moment. get the darkness. They're so afraid, so the only thing they can do is they're coming out, and just trying to cause and disrupt things. And but it's all funny. It's in their last days, if you will. So, having said that, what I say is love, light, and gratitude, and have an amazing day. And we made it. Thank you.